Now, in the wee hours of Monday night, the 20th of July, the KCCA carried out an operation. KCCA officials did carry out an overnight operation, destroying all houses and property along the railway reserve area. That was after a 28-day ultimatum they had given to residents in that area and anyone operating along the railway line. And they had, of course, a few days before this exercise, demarcated the areas that were set for demolition. Tonight, we discuss the implications of this exercise and, of course, what's been coming out both from Parliament and sentiments from the public over the KCCA's move to demolish those structures and what next for the people who are actually staying there. That on Newsnight. Welcome back, Andrew Mwenda, the old man of the clan and also CEO of the Independent magazine. Andrew, let's discuss this. The first, many disagree, not maybe on principle, the fact that maybe we are going to reconstruct the railway line to allow for transport, a new mode of transport in the city, which has never been done before. But the mode under which KCCA did this exercise. One, it was done in the night. Two, at the supervision of the police, and yet the residents believed they had a court order halting the exercise. And that three, clearly the people had not been told a few hours before to leave that area, to be given time to actually leave. Yes.
Maurice, there is, first of all, a big problem. I read some sections of the press trying to create sympathy for these people who have encroached on road reserves. Let's first state the principle. If I am a government official and I am given charge of public money and I steal it, the mass media in Uganda always condemns corruption. But corruption is not just one way that public officials are stealing public resources. Uganda's corruption has a double-edged, is like a double-edged sword. You have individual citizens who encroach on wetlands, who encroach on road reserves, who encroach on forest reserves, who encroach on national parks, who encroach on practically every single thing. That is a form of corruption. You may not be using your public office to appropriate public property, but you are using your electoral power to appropriate public property. There is a road reserve. It is clearly stated you're not supposed to live there. So I first want us to deal with the principle. Why do you develop a house on that public property? But why shouldn't I, as Andrew Mwenda, go and build my house on State Square?
But some of these people have been there for 10 years, for over 10 years, meaning the system was rotten from the beginning. Okay. Why did they allow residents of these areas, Nakawa, Narukolongo?
Let me ask you, do you think I should go on Kololo airstrip and build a house there?
Somebody should halt you from the beginning. For me, there should have been a system to stop you from the start.
The state at that time failed because the politicians, Nasser Sabagala and this gentleman, Sabana Kizito, were elected politicians, and they were pandering to the sentiments of those squatters who are voters. What has saved Kampala is one person. She is called Jennifer Msisi. Jennifer, I, Andrew Mwenda, I'm so in love with you. I think I am willing to surrender my inheritance to support your continued existence as executive director of Kampala. Because you see, Jennifer Msisi has brought order to this. She has said, look, everybody must be equal before the law. None is above the law and none can escape the pangs of the law. They have demolished your house. I'm so happy. These people are given 120 days. Those are 4 months. And they have been staying there. They knew they had erected illegal structures on public property. You, Maurice, why don't you live also on public land? Why do they want to live there? Please, Jennifer, you have my full support. Just demolish the whole thing.
Let's discuss the modalities.
I cannot criticize public officials stealing public money and then I support voters appropriating public land.
Let's discuss the mode of operation the KCCA uses. The biggest problem we have is that you had residents of an area who expected at least a warning, you know, to the list of their knowledge about. At least say an hour or 2 hours, you know.
They had 90 days.
Notice to move their property.
Can I explain
to you? Do you know what happened? Graders moved in at night at 4 a.m. 4:52 actually a.m. Graders moved in. Even some people were sleeping in their structures.
So can
some
I ask
were not
you
even
a question? Were you expecting that KCCA should go give them a hug and kiss them?
No, no, no. You tell them, listen, tonight at 4 a.m. we will be moving you.
Who
so
told
you
they were
prepare
not told?
people to move their things.
They were given 30 days. They didn't. 30 days they didn't move. They were extended to 90 days. They didn't move. That's 120 days. Let me tell you, Maurice. If you want to evict people from public land here in Uganda, they think that KCCA is joking, and that's why I love Jen from CC. People will think KCCA is joking. Let us hold out. So that is what happened with this man Agaba when they ended up shooting somebody with coma cage, because those people had been given warnings upon warnings and they were not leaving. Here is the thing: the state in Uganda must demonstrate its capacity to enforce the law.
So do we leave it to then one single person called Jennifer Musisi to enforce that law? Because if I'm saying if the state has failed, because we failed in the beginning to halt the building in these areas, we have waited for one lady called Jennifer Musisi to effect.
So you are saying
an exercise that you support, and other systems are failing. We still are failing on corruption.
We are still failing.
No, we are still failing. We are saying we are still failing in other areas. So are you suggesting that maybe the only way we will find solutions in this country is if we find people like Jennifer Musisi to sort corruption? If we find people like Jennifer Musisi to help us with revenue collection?
Jennifer as an individual is a very efficient and effective administrator. Really, she's tough. She's competent, she's determined, and she's efficient. That is great about her. But two, if you look at the new KCCA law, the law creating KCCA also creates the right incentives because she's not elected. So she's not subject to the whims of the voters. You see, Uganda, the majority of voters in Kampala, listen, are vendors. They are hawkers.
Yes.
The hawkers are littering the city. The vendors are closing on every road reserve. The mayors previously, and Lukwago has been supporting them. The state has been unable to enforce its will because elected politicians did not want to antagonize key voting constituencies in order. So they have been, you see, for what is good for Lukwago may not be good for Kampala, because Lukwago gets his votes from these vendors, from these squatters on public land. Because the executive director is not elected, she's able to implement the technical vision of the city without being beholden to electoral constituencies. You wait. If Jennifer Musisi does not do this now, she cannot do it in November 2015 because President Yoweri Museveni will be facing an election in February 2016, and I can tell you he would intervene on the side of the voters. And it is this voting mentality, this what you would call electioneering democracy in Uganda, that has undermined the ability and independence of the state to enforce the public good independently and without organized pressures from mobilized demand groups.
Well said. We will come up to another issue because she's not reined in yet on the borders, and I'm told that might be political.
We should blame
and
President
that might
Yoweri
be
Museveni.
political.
Let me tell you about
Yes,
borders.
that's what I'm saying. No, yes, very quickly.
President Yoweri Museveni, Kaihura had cracked down on borders.
Yes.
As President of Police, they petitioned State House. The president met them at the clock tower,
and the reason
and defended them, and they almost lynched Kale because the president was looking for votes. We need to defend those institutions.
And this is not yet 2015, so
yes.
we will.
So the borders we need to sort them out now.
We will come to that. Well, and that was Newsnight.